how a group of 18 girls reacts when they see a bat flying right over their head inside the school building. Now add the fact that these girls were caught off guard by the bat because it was flying in the hallway that they were practicing in. If you haven't realized it already, I'm talking about the dance cats here at the high school, and yes, this is a true story. As we were practicing in our normal spot, the hallway, a bat flew right over our heads, and as you can imagine, we screamed. We screamed so loud that the basketball coach at the time busted through the doors, asked us why we were screaming, and told us we needed to quiet down because some people were actually having practice. Referring that the dance cats don't actually practice and that it wasn't a bit of an interruption to us. As you can imagine, this comment angered us, and rightfully so. Hearing those disrespectful words, I felt my stomach drop and my face turn red. We were hurt by what was said and, more importantly, what was thought of us. It was like someone telling us we weren't good enough. This is just one example of how dancers get treated. After listening to people tell me over and over that dance isn't a real sport, I began asking myself, well, why are they thinking this? I came to the conclusion that it's because of a phrase, performing arts. While I do believe that dance is a form of art, I also strongly believe that dance is a sport and should be equal with all other sports. Today I plan on making you see how one activity can fall under both categories, a sport and a performing art, and also how it's wrong to disclude dance from the athletic world. To begin, most people can agree that dance is a performing art by its definition. A performing art is a form of creative activity that is performed in front of an audience, such as a drama, music, or dance. So the dance cats do make up creative routines and perform them in front of audience, so I think most everyone would agree to that and realize that dance is a performing art. In fact, The Guardian says that dance communicates in a way that no other art form can. However, the problem is that people falsely believe that it's only a performing art and not a sport. So why is this the common belief? I have narrowed it down to 3 reasons. The first is that the majority of people think that to be a sport, a ball of some sort has to be involved. They also think sports require close contact. Finally, the third one is that they think we only perform at other sporting events. But as I promised you earlier, I am going to change the way you look at dance and make you see how it could be both a sport and an art. To do this, I will first give you the definition of a sport. A sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill, in which an individual or team competes against one another for entertainment. As I explained in my last speech, dance does involve physical exertion, as we have 3-hour practices where we do the routine full out multiple times. It does require skill, as I'm assuming not all of you in here could do the splits or a simple pirouette. Finally, it does involve an individual or team competing against others for entertainment, as we go to multiple competitions every year. In fact, the Press Democrat stated that according to multiple tests conducted at Gatorade Sports Science Institute, dancers from So You Think You Can Dance were ranked among professional athletes in the terms of athleticism. Now, if proving to you that dance fits the sport definition isn't enough to persuade you, I will now disprove the common misconceptions as I mentioned before. The first was that in order to be a sport, a ball of some sort must be involved. Let me remind you that gymnastics, ice skating, skiing, and swimming are all Olympic sports, and yet they have no ball. Science in our world mentions that dancers utilize their bodies as tools instead of other instruments. The next misconception was that all sports require close contact. So if you think back to the sports that I just mentioned that are Olympic sports, none of those require close contact either. The third misbelief is that the majority of our audience thinks that we only dance at their kids' sporting events, which couldn't be further from the truth. Unknown to them, we go to multiple competitions every year where we compete against different studios and high schools and try and qualify for nationals. So no, we're not just worried about pleasing our audience here at football and basketball games, but more importantly, the judges at these competitions. To conclude, I want to venture back to the bat story. Now put yourselves into that scenario. Now I'm sure most of you males in here could handle the bat, but could you handle the way that the basketball coach treated you? Like you were unimportant, not of equal measures, and not thought of as athletes. What if they simply called your sport an art? That sweat you drip, the bones you break, the muscles you tear, all of that an art? Just as we dancers don't like to be treated in that fashion, I'm sure you guys wouldn't either. Dance fits both definitions, so it's time we start treating it as both. From this point on, when you watch the Dance Cats or any other dance team perform, admire the work of art that you're watching, but don't forget to realize that to them in that moment, it isn't such an art. It's a sport requiring skill and physical exertion. So want you to not underestimate dancers because it takes an athlete to dance, but an artist to be a dancer.
How many competitions with the dance cats do you have, like every year?
We usually go to 2 or 3, and this year we actually hosted our first one. So.
How many teams are normally competing?
Oh, it's a full day. We got here, I think, around 7 the day and left around 4. So, and that whole time is like people dancing. So, it's a lot of teams.
How'd you guys do?
Yeah, we didn't do as well as we'd like. I'll just say that.
Did you kill the bat?
No, it's still around here somewhere. I guarantee it. So beware.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Is there any other local schools that have dance cat teams?
Actually, Harrison took our name. They're the Dance Cats too. But yeah, Batesville I think has a team. East Central, yeah, a lot of local ones too. Cartersville.
My question maybe gets a little bit back to what you were talking about, thinking about is the inequality, does it have to do anything with gender? Did you find anything that connected to, because dance is maybe more of a woman's sport versus, you know, having males?
Yeah, I didn't see anywhere about that, but I could see that being one of the problems with it, is that it's all girls. Yeah.
Do you guys get a letter like here at school?
Yeah, we get a varsity letter every year.
Is that unique to our school, or do most schools follow that, or?
I think that most schools do, but I'm sure not all of them are on that same page.
All right, thank